Hi, my name is Duke Riley. Welcome to my show at the Brooklyn Museum. It's called Death to the Living, Long Live Trash. Let's go take a look. The title of the exhibition, Death to the Living, Long Live Trash, was actually inspired by a piece of Scrimshaw that I saw years ago at the New Bedford Whaling Museum, which they were kind enough to lend us for this exhibition. And if you look at it, the inscription on the tooth says, "Death to the living, long live the killers, success to sailors' wives, and greasy luck to whalers." Whale oil was basically like the fossil fuel of its time, and in the pursuit of wealth, this very small group of people almost decimated an entire species of animals off the face of the planet. These different people that were the ones that were often depicted on these teeth were often prominent members of society, you know, ship owners and people that profited off of the whale oil industry. I started making my own Scrimshaw out of plastic objects that I was finding on the beaches around New York City, and decided to start putting various CEOs of some of the companies that are most responsible for producing this stuff, and kind of trying to focus on who the people were that were really most responsible for the proliferation of single-use plastic that's basically decimating our waterways throughout the world now. A friend of mine who was a commercial fisherman told me that he had this diving fin in his garage in Cape Cod that had been there since the early 90s, and that it had actually been found inside the stomach of a tiger shark. It's no surprise that some of these objects that we use day to day would be actually consumed by a fish whole, because I started looking at them and thinking they don't really look that much different than the commercial fishing lures that people use to go sport fishing. Also just kind of thinking about what a lure is, and that it is basically this hunting tool that uses the psychology or the desire of this animal against itself. And I was thinking about then these objects themselves, how all of them, you know, have been designed in a way, be lured to them ourselves to purchase them, as we are constantly trying to reconnect with nature, and that coupled with our own addiction to convenience, how we're sort of constantly seeking out more of these things and then bringing them out into the natural world, and ultimately kind of destroying the thing that we are chasing after. For a lot of years I've been referencing sailors' Valentines in my work, and what a sailor's Valentine is or was a tiny octagonal box that had a geometric mosaic made out of seashells in it. And it was sort of like an old type of maritime folk art that you still see people making around New England today. And I had been making my own sort of versions of these over the years, but as I started to notice that there were less and less shells and more plastic on the beaches, I decided to start making ones that actually accurately reflected the environment that I was talking about. In the process of making these, in order to have enough colors to make the palette to create all the different patterns, we actually sort through about 20,000 pounds of plastic in the course of the year, and then separate it into all of these different categories, so that then we have, like, you know, enough red lighters to make this pattern here, and enough pink and purple tampon applicators to create that sort of fan shape down there. When you think about all this stuff, the idea of kind of using trash as a medium, all of these different objects were already designed by somebody else who was trying to make these objects as aesthetically pleasing to us. So the idea that we should be able to, you know, reuse them only makes sense. So this is a chandelier that I made entirely out of nip bottles. These particular nip bottles are a huge problem. It's one of the type of plastics that we find the most when we're out doing beach cleanups. I think Fireball seems to be the most common one. It seems like there's maybe two different types of fireball drinkers, those that drink Fireball and somehow end up throwing the bottle in the ocean, or those that screw the cap back on and then throw it in the ocean. This desk was already in this room when I was setting up the show, and it was about the same size as this small chart table that I have on I live on a boat half of the year, and most of the Scrimshaw and works that you see in this show were actually made on a boat the same way that sailors would have made them. This is sort of all of the research of the various CEOs and lobbyists that I reference in the show. Most of these people, if you actually were to Google them, they have these amazing PR teams, so that if you look most of them up, they seem like they're really fantastic people. This mosaic here is a depiction of the wreck of the Erica, which was an oil tanker that sank off the coast of Brittany, France, in 1999. I guess in the process of doing this project, I was also thinking about not only just the destructive nature of plastic in the ocean and fossil fuels and climate change, but also just the process of moving liquid over liquid and the perils that has had over the years with moving fuel over water and water over water and so on and so forth, and kind of the ridiculousness of it. So that was a little sneak peek into my show, Death to the Living, Long Live Trash, at the Brooklyn Museum, and I'm happy to say it's going to be still running for a few more months, so if you get a chance, come down and check it out. Thanks a lot.